I did say new.
Oh, yeah, you
Okay.
did say that. Forgive me. And now, leading into our special guest, please meet the lovely, beautiful, full of class Tahina Vilme, agent, designer, and mission driving leader, real estate advisor at Thumbprint Realty, fluent in English and Haitian Creole, also the founder of Ville Made by Design, an interior design firm made in Boston. Tahina and her husband, famously known as Don Hina, have united their talents in real estate and design under a broader mission: love, legacy, and longevity. They see real estate not as transactions, but as mindset endowments, a powerful inheritance of home ownership, wealth, and community impact passed through generations. Tahina's journey is passionate about design. Tahina launched Ville Made by Design to transform unremarkable spaces into personalized, inviting homes. Her design philosophy mirrors her real estate approach: create long lasting value and emotional resonance. As a licensed agent at Thumbprint Realty, she combines that design intuition with market knowledge to guide clients through informed, value based real estate decisions. Bilingual in English and Creole, as mentioned, she serves a diverse clientele with empathy and expertise. Her strong presence across both worlds fuels her holistic approach from staging to closing, and she's an excellent listener and a better friend. Please, everyone, meet Tahina Vilme.
Yo, I need that. Whatever that was, I need that. Thank you so much, everyone. Can I share my
Yeah,
screen?
you definitely could share. And she had to be in her office, which you deserve to be in your office because that background is crazy. I know you designed
Yeah,
it. So
absolutely. Um, Let me see. I'm so not tech savvy, so guys, bear with
yeah,
me.
so just hit down and then hit share at the bottom. Yep, there you go.
Mhm. Okay. So before I get started, most of y'all know, or a lot of y'all know that I'm an introvert. So this is not my favorite thing to do. But I was thinking about presenting this morning and I'm like, man, I presented other things. I presented other work that I've done, and it was easy for me to say, this is what other people did, or this is something that I'm a part of. But what I'm presenting today is me. So it's very dear to my heart, what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I'm happy for I'm glad to have this opportunity to share with you. Our market is changing a little bit, and it'll continue to change and ebb and flow. Um, so what I'm going to be talking about around staging is going to be important because for some of us, the homes that we put on the market are going to sit a little longer than normal, a little longer than our normal. Some of you agents have come in, drop a seven. I don't even know if I'm gonna see your sevens, but drop a seven. Somebody could tell me if there's a lot of sevens. If you started real estate in 2019 and beyond. Are there sevens being dropped? Because I can't see them.
Yep.
All right. So for most of you, for those of you who responded, you know the market to be something a little bit quicker, transactional, very, very fast, homes being on and off the market very quickly. It's not happening as much now with certain properties in certain locations. So it's going to be very important for us to have to come into listings with the proper mindset and the proper advice for how to market the home. We can't do, iPhone, Android pictures. We can't do, just a quick, walk through and not address specific things, because it's going to be important that we show our best face in the market to get the fastest results, and at least try to speed that process up. So I've been doing real estate since 2017. As Nathan had mentioned, I'm part of a team with Dawn, and I usually took the back seat with real estate. And as of 2022, I really dug my heels in and got into the field of real estate more. I was doing more walking with my clients, my buyer clients, going to a number of open houses and seeing homes in a different way than I've saw them before. And my design business started in 2019, the end of 2019. And it was more about, you know, interior design, making people's homes beautiful, picking out couches, picking out tables, picking out different things. And what I found is that as much as I love that, I found that there was a different need, a more important need to merge both those things, so design and real estate, where I am providing a product to buyers and sellers that is better than what I was seeing in the market. So it's not necessarily about the different couches and things that people purchase in their homes, especially when they're selling them, but it's more about the feeling that your home gives, and the feeling that buyers, most importantly, want to feel when they see your home and put an offer and a generous offer at that. So, oh, I can't. Okay, sorry. I didn't know how to use this thing. So, I want to kind of throw this to you guys. You can just speak. I can't see anything that's written right away. So, I believe that all homes have a story. So if anyone can just talk about the listings that any particular listing that they might have had and what story the home, in your opinion, was saying, and how the buyers received that story. And let me know if you don't understand exactly what I'm saying, but what was the house trying to sell? What vision was the house trying to sell? And did the buyers get it? And if you if you could tell me how you know that they got it. So for any of you guys who've listed, and I know we got the heavy hitters, we got Katia, we got Joanna, and we got other Jeremy on the
I know.
call.
I think so. And I just want to articulate what I believe you're saying, right?
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes we live in a home and we feel like this is the best home ever on the market, right? Because our emotions
Yeah.
are attached to actual space, right? But a lot of times the space you're in could make you delusional, where you think is the best thing on the market, but people been to other, like the buyer's been to 10 different homes. They know what your home is missing. They know what your home has, right? And they are comparing to the other homes they already seen. So you
Mhm.
might be saying, hey, I'm going to set this up to get 800,000, but your home is screaming 600,000. Like that's just the truth, right? You didn't stage, you didn't repaint, you didn't focus on the curb appeal. You have things that you have to fix, but you put it on the market thinking you're gonna get this amount of money. But guess what? You what you thinking you're gonna get and how your home looks, the story of your home, it's two different things.
Yep.
So
And that's why I'm asking y'all as agents, because it's one thing when your seller clients have this emotional connection to their homes and they can't detach from it. But you being the marketer of that home, you know, what story did you want to share with with buyers, and did they receive it? What was your listing actually saying? So if anybody, I don't know if anybody is ready to chime in, but if you presented a home and you saw that it was great for gatherings, it was great for this, it was great for it had a lot of storage, things of that nature. Oh, Carrie's gonna speak, but yeah, so it has a lot of storage and this, that, and the other. Did you portray that, and did the buyers see it? Go ahead, Carrie.
Good morning, Tahina. So in regards to the story, I had a client who had several properties within Boston, outside of Boston, that he asked me to sell at different times. And all of those homes had similarities, that they all were extremely dated, talking about multiple colors, red ceiling, wallpaper, um, wood kitchens. I mean, everything that you can imagine in the 70s, that's what those homes look like, with no changes to it at all. And I remember he always wanted to get the highest dollar amount for these homes. And while they were in great locations, it told a story that the house was dated, it was old, it didn't have a modern feel. Perhaps the person selling it was a much older person that hasn't done anything to it. And it was very hard to attract the new professionals who like the modern feel. And trying to relate to him like, hey, we're not doing wallpaper and red ceilings and wooden panel anymore. But that's the story that his homes often told.
Yeah. And it typically translates, thank you for sharing that story. And it typically translates directly into sales. And again, in certain markets, it doesn't really matter, right? Homes are just gonna they're gonna be sold, right? But in markets like this, where you do have to try a little harder, that you have to really present the home in its best light, it's going to be important to do that. Can I have, I don't know if anybody, I don't know, I didn't see any more hands, but does anybody have another story that they can share about a listing that they've had? Good or bad? All right.
Can you say that question again?
Sorry, who was that? So yeah, if you can share, a story about a home that you've listed and what story you were trying to portray, and how if the buyers actually receive that story. So in Kerry's example, the house was saying, I'm dated and I need work, where the seller was probably assuming that, it was in good shape or whatever the case was. And the buyers are the ones that are going to be putting the offers in. Did they receive that? Did they see the story that the house was trying to sell?
Yeah, so my first house I've ever sold, it was actually a great example because it covered both. So the seller lived in it. It was his parents' house. They passed away, so he owned it. And in his mind, right, it was a great house. He knew all the history of it and all the updates. So in his mind, it was a great house, great condition. And he did not want to stage it because he didn't feel it needed to, based on, what he perceived as the value and, the beauty of the house. It was definitely dated. We did some minor updates, but he was comfortable leaving it. The buyers that came in saw a different story. They saw a house that was older, that had a lot of history, and, they weren't interested in spending that kind of money for that history based on what they would be taking on. So we ended up getting it staged after it didn't move after a couple of weeks, or no, after the first week. We got it lightly staged, painted everything, literally painted the walls, trim, I brought in a crew. And now it had a whole different story. And it allowed for people to see themselves and start to create their own future story. And we won the contract, literally within days after our first showing, after we did a couple updates and some staging. So, it really does matter.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you for sharing. It's a great segue to my next slide. Because we're talking about the benefits of, oh, Joanna, you have something?
I was just gonna speak to, of course, the home that was recently sold, my listing that you staged. And of course the seller had passed away, all her personal belongings were in the home, and her children were very sentimental about just not moving items and just wanting to keep that there. And it was like, well, when she bought the home, it wasn't staged, so why do we need to get it staged? Like, what's the big deal? And understanding the market that we're in, when homes are not really moving at the fastest pace, I encourage them that staging the home and then allowing the buyers to envision themselves there is what we want, and repurposing some of the spaces that they're utilized and making it more functional for the buyers to be able to see themselves there. And as you recall, one of those spaces was the den, right, where all it had was a Peloton and a desk, and we converted that space into an actual living where buyers actually seen it as an additional functional room, whether it was a family room, a bedroom, whatever the case may be. And it told a story that the home was well cared for, it was loved, it was well maintained after we were able to add the touches in there and rearranging some things without losing its original character or charm, and without completely eliminating their mother style, but kind of enhancing it. And as you know, that home sold for $60,000 over the list price after
Yeah.
one hour open house with over 108 people attending the open house.
That's amazing. And I love stories like this. And you touch on a lot of points that I wanna touch on a little bit later, about how important it is, and being able to come in with a professional opinion, but then also have the heart and sensitivity to understand where they are, meeting your clients where you are, so that you don't disrupt their life or their process. And in Joanna's case, she's talking about the death of the owner and her children having to pass on their home. We know that the children did not want to be doing this. This was not something that they were looking forward to. So being sensitive to all those things are very important as well. Thank you for sharing that. So what we're talking about today are the benefits of staging your home, or staging your listings, the benefits to the buyers, the benefits to the sellers, the benefits to us as agents as well. So I'll get on with this. Sorry. So market time. So Joanna just talked about the fact that she had a listing, one open house in this market. Her listing was in Randolph, and these are all things that we have to keep into consideration. There are going to be certain areas that still thrive in the market, and that's just what it is. And there are going to be some other areas that need a little bit extra help, because people are a little bit more hesitant in this market and in this economy to make decisions about certain locations. But then there are going to be some locations like Randolph that usually do pretty well, especially if the house is well maintained and well presented. So stage homes can sell 73% faster than unstaged homes. And Jeremy's example was another one where, we did it like they wanted to do. We understood where they were. We met them where they were. They said this is how they wanted to do it. We obliged. And then after they recognize that this wasn't working, they do our techniques, they use what we say, and things begin to move for them. So yes, unstaged homes stay on the market just a little bit longer because people have to visualize themselves in a space. And if you meaning the seller, is too prominent in the home, they can't see themselves. So nearly half, 45% of sellers agents report that staging reduces time in the market. Carrie?
Can you touch on typically who's paying for the cost of staging? Because I think that too may deter a seller from agreeing to staging if it's their cost.
Yeah, you made me think of Joanna's deal that she was just talking about. The misunderstanding sometimes. So typically agents cover the cost of staging. So it's not something that you typically roll over to clients. And I'll get to the end. I'll have some pricing, some general pricing, and for like, I focus more on occupied home staging as opposed to full staging, just because of my inventory. But what that might look like price-wise for an agent to pay for a staging in a home.
You
But
might
yeah,
want
so
to
typically,
clarify that.
Say that again?
I just want to throw it out there. You might want to clarify. I never paid for staging in my life, as in if it's for the client. So you might want to clarify the difference between the difference between the staging, because staging could run $5,000. But when we're talking, Carrie's question, Carrie, were you asking about like Tahina and the client using their own furniture, or are you talking about
Or
all
full
around
stage,
staging?
yeah.
When you're promoting staging, whether it's light staging, whether it's a full staging, partial staging, one room, whatever it is, it comes with a cost.
It does.
So so when you're discussing staging, are we pitching, hey, this is a cost, that this is part of the package that we're offering you, or this is what I'm suggesting that you do, and you just kind of leave it up to them to do it. So that initial conversation, and how is it being structured, so that way it actually gets done, especially when you need it to get done.
Yeah, so I focus primarily on occupied home staging. So with all the projects that I've worked on, the agents have paid for my services, because they tend to be a lot less than, to Alex's point, the $5,000, $6,000 that it might run to do staging. And I don't know if Alex, you want to speak to that, or Jeremy, or whoever has staged full staging of homes, how they dealt with the fee.
Well,
I've done it.
go ahead, Jeremy. You got it.
Yeah, I've actually done it. I mean, majority where the client pays it, but I've done it both ways. Even where, again, I thoroughly explain the value to the seller and how this is going to multiply itself in the sense of pay it back. There's times where the seller may not have the money, and I'll cover it, and that comes back to me at closing, right? So I'll pay up half, and then I'll pay the other half, and then at closing, I would get that payback in the commission state. Obviously, it's a risk, because if it doesn't sell, you're eating that cost, right? You're not going to tell them to pay you, and it doesn't sell and take out the market. But the majority of the time, they'll pay it. I'll have the client pay it, or I'll cover it, and then it gets reimbursed. There was one time I paid for it, covered it, but it's because I was comfortable with the level of commission I was getting. And I had a staging connect that actually charged a decent price that I was okay exchanging a portion of my commission for getting it staged, so I know I can get the value that we need to get. So every situation will be different, but I definitely try to put it on the sellers, because they're the ones that's going to benefit.
Yeah. So it's definitely an investment regardless of who's paying for it, but the return on investment is worth it for the most part. Okay. So the other benefit that Joanna had mentioned is the sales value. So how much you actually get from that sale. So 10 to 20%, staged homes typically sell 10 to 20% more than unstaged homes. And it can generate a return on investment of up to 586%. So that's a huge percent. And this is a wide generalization over the nation. So not specific to anywhere in Boston particularly, but this is a really good indication of how you can make that money back that, that people are investing into staging. My next slide is these are projects that I've worked on with agents in our office, and the value that was added to those projects. So in Circuit Street, they did 5K over, and I made a note because somebody might be like, 5K over. It was on the market for 123 days, not because of staging, but because of the home itself. So the home was a condo, there was a condo fee, there was also a restriction, a deed restriction around renting the space. So, and it's a 1-bedroom as well. It did very well when it first came onto the market, but as the market changed a bit, it was struggling in the market. But they still, after 123 days, made more than list price. And the comments about that space usually was around the staging, and how warm. That was typically the feedback. And I don't know if you want to chime in anymore, Joanna, but typically the feedback from people who entered the space was how warm it felt and how welcoming it felt. So we were able to do exactly what we were trying to do, is pull these buyers in with their senses. And that part worked, but the mechanics of the transaction also had to work as well, but they were still successful at the end. Thane Street, this is a property I had the privilege of staging twice. This one, and it's the first time around, the first go round, sold for 60K over. And I believe, if I'm correct, that was also in a week, right? That the offer was put in.
About 9 days.
Right. And Webster, 31 Webster is the listing that Joanna had mentioned. That was 60K after one open house in this market. So I think it goes to show, and these are just my examples from the smattering of work that I've done in staging, and you can see the benefit.
I just want to add to with Thane Street, it did hit the newspapers. It hit Boston Magazine and hit Boston.com. So even with obviously with staging, without staging, it's going to be hard for like a Boston Magazine to come and take photos and say, "Hey, we really love your listing. Can we write an article about it?" Right now with staging, your name, and they write an article, your name's out there, and the second time around, now that owner could have went back to their agent, but they said, you know what, I'm going to the agent that Boston.com wrote an article on, and those are the same agent that sold it. So I'm just gonna go right back to them instead of using the agent that found me this particular deal. So I just wanted to mention that because that was a big deal as well. Because that was the first time one of the properties went like that far when it comes to articles, platforms, and stuff like that.
Harry?
And I would like to add, the second time around, and I don't know if you just said this, Alex, so forgive me. The second time around it was sold was the seller who I was the list agent, of course, sold it to this, and the buyer had his own agent. When this person who was the buyer became the seller, decided to sell it, instead of going to his agent, he came directly to he came to us to list the property, because of course we know the property best, and of course he loved the presentation, and of course we were able to sell it again in the likeness that it was when he purchased it.
Yeah. Harry?
Just to give you two quick examples, I had a listing, it was like 900 square feet. The sellers said that they're not putting any money into the home. They're selling it as is. And I'm like, okay, great. Now deduct 30,000 off of the list price, because that's what you're going to get.
Yep.
And I said, but if you trust me and let me do a light staging, which means that, a little staging in the kitchen, a little decor, a little staging in the living room, and one bedroom, you're going to get above asking price. And sure enough, we got multiple offers above asking price. Another example is I got a call from someone in Florida who said her condo in Randolph had been on the market for 4 months. I looked at the pictures from the previous agent and I'm like, this is gross. Like, this is how your place is being marketed? No wonder you're still on the market. And I said, if you want us to take this listing, you have to agree that we're going to stage it, but it's going to be your cost. And we have to do this quickly. Patrice came in, she got it staged within 24 hours, did the open house, got a cash offer in less than 2 days. And everyone that came said they saw the listing before, but didn't show up because the pictures were a turnoff. So that is the benefit of staging.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the important message when speaking to clients, when speaking to sellers, is we can try this out, but if we want to cut some of this time out, Let's just do it right the first time. And doing it right the first time is presenting the home in its best light, to get the most out of it.
And I just want
Buyers
to
of, yep. Mhm.
one thing, sorry. So just imagine, I just want to throw this out there. So Carrie said, hey, she looked at the past photos and was like, nah, this isn't it. Like, no way, no, Jose, I'm not doing this, but you have to agree to do this so we can sell your home. I don't want anyone at Thumbprint to be the past photos. I don't want anyone at Thumbprint to be the past photos because you're taking shortcuts. Do not be the past photos. Say, for instance, you do pay for Tahina's staging. Go, it's a write-off anyway. Go take a new photo shoot. Like create a new photo shoot for you, like, and call it a day. Like, hey, it's a no-brainer, it's a write-off. But just do not be the last photo. Please.
That's the goal. Do not be the last photo. And once again, buyer's appeal is very important. Buyers, the first exposure to your listing is usually the MLS listing, wherever they get it, Redfin, wherever they get their listings, right? And to Kerry's point, some people don't even, there are very new buyers to the market, and the buyers in the market now are in their 20s to 30s, right? 20s to 30s. The new buyers are in their 20s to 30s, right? 40s, right? They are part of the HGTV era. So they know what beautiful things look like. They know where they hear about where to find it, and that is what they want. So when they don't see it, their eyes glance over it really quick and they go to the next thing. And so you have to put your best foot forward. And that's why, and I believe it's been said in past gem drops before, is, you know, the front door is not always, or the front of the house is not always the best thumbprint photo. What do they call it? Thumbnail photo for a listing. You pick the best room in that house and you show that first, because you want to catch people's attention, whether it's the kitchen, if it's a really grand looking bathroom, if it's a bedroom that looks really good. Post those pictures first, because that's what buyers are looking at, so that they can make the decision to leave their house. So if our pictures have personal belongings, you know, clutter or whatever, they're not going to want to continue to look. They have to potentially be in a desperate position. And if they're in a desperate position, they give you a price that reflects it. They give you an offer that reflects it. So making sure that the visual story that they're receiving is something of quality. So I wanted to give you some examples. And are there any questions before I move on? And feel free to ask questions. I've selected things that I want to talk about, but if you have specific questions about staging, I would love to answer those. So I'm going to show you some examples of work that I've done in comparison. So Alex said, don't be the first photo, right? So the top photo is the original listing, another listing that somebody else had, and they presented the pictures this way. As you can, like, can somebody tell me what they see in the first picture? What pops up to them in the first picture?
The TV being massively big. And is that the first picture you're referring to?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the TV.
it's darker.
It's darker.
Less natural light in the first photo. There are things underneath the TV that obviously you can't see. I mean, you can't not see.
Mm-hmm.
You have you have two photos on the wall that's not aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually looks like, oh yeah, the pillows are messed up.
The
The
pillow.
first photo, the pillows are not in order or organized.
I mean, such an
And
easy fix, right? It's just pillows, just put them
you know,
up.
these are easy fix. We have a table in that left corner or something in that left corner.
Mhm.
And it also just looks like, oh yeah, is that a family photo? I believe on the
It is
wall,
a
but
family photo.
they're
Mhm.
family photos, so I know where they live now because they owe me some money, so I'm gonna show up. And it looks like they are marketing the TV, as Joanna said.
Okay. Any other feedback? All right. So the bottom photos are the recommendations and work that I put into this particular home. And I just want to give a shout out to Katia for trusting me with it. But what story do these other pictures tell? And if I have to, I'll call on people because I don't just want it to be Tanisha.
So for me, it doesn't even, I mean, I don't even know if it's the same house, same furniture, but it definitely does not look like it. So I think that the bottom pictures definitely look more professional. The top one looks like kind of, you know, I could have done it with my iPhone. You know, I can tell in kind of the light how it's glaring off. It looks dim. So for me, I don't even know if it's the same house or not. Some of it looks like it is, some of it looks like it's not, but I think that the little things that were added kind of brought it out. It looks more homier, like, you know, I could see myself there. It looks, how can I say, how let me think, it's just more welcoming. It looks
Yeah.
welcoming.
Yeah. And Tanisha, that's a good point. So and Alex had brought it up, you know, the picture looks darker. All these things work together. When you call a stager and a designer in to come help with your listing, you have to make sure that your pictures, your photographer is also on board as to what looks good and what doesn't look good. It could very well be that the first pictures, and I don't know this to be true, but it could very well be that the first picture could have been taken by a phone with a phone. But you want to make sure that I think even the way that I had, so it is the same room, even if the way that I had staged it, if the pictures weren't quality, you wouldn't be able to get the full feel of it as well. So making sure that it's not just one thing and it's the whole package that you're presenting to your clients. So this is the same listing. And there are two pictures here. Maya, can you tell me what you see?
The first thing that stands out to me in the original picture is I think it's a TV mount above the bed.
Yep. Yep. So what does that, so say a little bit more about that. What does that say to you and how do you think buyers are perceiving that space?
To me, it looks like a little careless, a little unintentional, like, you know, they didn't even think about what the buyer would see when they walk into this room. I think also the angle makes a big difference as well. I see that the bed was put into a different position, and I think it goes with the flow of the room better rather than it being on that wall where the door is. Because obviously it opens up and you can now see the windows and everything.
Yeah. So in this particular space, I would say a lot of people have the stuff. They have the stuff. They might, it's not always the case, but they may have the right furniture or they may have the right accents. They may have the right art, but they just put it in the wrong places where they don't sell the full scope of the space. I spend a lot of my time in staging repositioning furniture because the way that the sellers had it did not actually offer a good flow for the space. So these are the things that we consider in staging as well. It's not just the stuff on top of the bed, but it's where the bed is, what's on top of it, what's next to it, and if it's conflicting with with each other. The story on the right side says your TV is going to be over your head. So it doesn't tell the right story. So if someone's looking at this picture in this angle, they may assume that there are no other walls for the TV, and therefore this is the only option you have. So opening up the different options for people allows them to see the home and actually take a trip to the listing. And then I have one more. Who am I gonna call? Ashley. Can you speak, Ashley?
Sorry, I'm at work, so I had to step away. Um, but definitely the quality, it's so much brighter um, in your photos, and you show different areas. You show the different, ways of the patio or the balcony, different views, I should say.
Mhm.
And let's see. I mean, the first picture is pretty, but again, compared to yours, um, it's just more magazine like, it's more professional. Um, and like I said, it gives different views of how you can play with the space.
Thank you, thank you. Jermaine, can you share a little bit about what the seating on the left says to you and what the seating on the right says to you? And somebody let me know if he can't speak, if he's texting, if he's messaging. All right, I'll go with Randy. Same question.
I am driving, so I might cut out from the traffic based on service. But the picture on the right, on the left, it gives that like it's like they're trying to open up the space so you can feel welcome to it, but it doesn't give you that like, oh, I want to hang out there type of thing. Whereas the other pictures that you design, it gives that more like, oh, we can gather, we can talk, we can converse. The center table was actually put in a way where if you gotta put stuff on there, it works out. It gives you more of that like let's hang around feel rather than I just want to be out here stretching to try and talk to someone type of perspective.
Thank you. So again, I think, thank you for being safe and not looking at pictures while you're driving. And again, I think with staging, I mean, some might not agree with this, but I think there's a good way and there's a better way, right? I don't think the picture on the left is deterring, right? People are not going to look at it and go, yeah, I don't know about that outside. They're gonna look at it and they're gonna be like, wow, there's a deck, look at the sky, look at the furniture. It looks like a wider space, right? The way that it's shown. But to Randy's point, the other pictures show more of a gathering. So when you're thinking about, what would I do up there? I would have events, I would host events, I would have people over, we would gather, we would sit, we would convene with each other. So sometimes it's just those simple changes that dramatically change the story that the home is telling. All right. So I just left this pretty picture up here because I like pretty things. Just to have a conversation about, what it is that I look at, and how I typically go about staging homes. I think it's very important when it comes to the seller is to present yourself, present your brand in a way that you're letting them know that you're a professional, that you do this for work. It's not just a suggestion. It's not just like, oh, I think this is pretty. You know what works in the market. So when you give a suggestion about what needs to be changed, it's going to be important for them to actually listen to you. And again, there are going to be certain clients that you might have to allow them to make mistakes. But for the most part, is being able to come in, whether it's a listing appointment or after, and be able to direct your clients to do the right things. What are some of the things that you've seen in homes in a listing walkthrough that that quickly come to mind when it comes to please change these things? Like, what are the top 3 things that you normally see, that you may see in a listing walkthrough that you need to explain to your clients to change? And you can just speak up and not.
You're talking about when we first meet up with a person and we're walking through their listing, correct?
Yeah.
Decluttering and depersonalization. So taking off your family photos for safety, but not only that, but allowing the buyer to envision and encapsulate in their mind what their life would be like. It's hard to do when you see like, third place trophies and graduation photos and, family picnics, etc. So that would be the first step, I would say.
Yeah. It's amazing that we still see listings with clutter, like actual clothes or hampers or things of that nature, in photos. Those things need to be cleared out. And for some homes, it's a matter of space, but at least when it comes to your pictures, make sure those things are out of the way. Nobody wants to see your drawers. Nobody wants to know how many kicks you wear. Nobody wants to see any of that stuff. So make sure that they, if at all possible, they are removed, especially if it's like piled clothing or anything like that, or piled clutter, to make sure those things are removed from pictures. Kerry.
To answer your question, paint color is something major that I think plays a part, especially in the photos. But in addition to that, I don't think there's a lot of conversations with new homeowners on, saving some photos, especially if it's a rental. The hardest thing to do is to get good photos when there are tenants in the unit. And I think that we should have some discussions around getting photos of these units, nicely done photos before tenants move in, because it's hard to stage. It's hard to get good photos when tenants aren't there. It's hard to take a photo without having their personal stuff, or even trying to get them to clean up and move it. It can be challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. And every client has their different issues or problems or whatever. So some people can't physically do the things that you want them to do, and other people don't want to do it. But to your point, I think that's really great, especially when you're selling a property that very well may be rented out, to take pictures prior to getting anybody in there, so that it's easier when it comes to listing the property. But yeah, so personal belongings, clutter. I forgot, you said something else, Nathan, that I want to touch on. But so basically making sure, Carrie, you said paint color. That's a huge one. That's a huge one. Even for a listing that I have now, which I can report is under contract. Now, there was like a wall that was very jazzed up. It was not my choice. I had asked the clients to remove it, but they were overwhelmed with everything else, so they left it. But again, buyers see it, they don't know what it is. So in my case, this wall that I had like gold tape on it. You can't tell that it's gold tape. It might look like paint. It might look like a lot of work for you. So if for sometimes for buyers, it's just like swipe left. I can't. I'm not even gonna deal with that. I'm not gonna, whatever. Wall paint, like if you're in a home that there's different colors in every room, that's not every buyer's cup of tea. So making sure that you meet people in the middle, and usually modern, whatever modern is that middle. So doing light colors that don't demand attention, it's going to be really important. Anything else that we sometimes, depersonalizing homes, very important. There shouldn't be any pictures of your family. And if you're doing something rushed, please pay attention to that piece. Because it needs to come down. It should come down. Like Alex said, you don't want nobody saying you owe me money and coming to your listing looking for you. But it also doesn't allow the buyer to see themselves there. They only see you there. Anything else that you've seen in a walkthrough that has been a point of change that you had to ask your client to change? Or maybe you didn't feel comfortable asking your client to change?
Sometimes the odor, like it could have a stench that can throw off the buyer.
Yes.
Because I always tell, just from units I've rented in my properties, just going in and spraying sometimes, or just removing something, or
Yeah.
can cause, like it's like you're selling anything, any little thing. And first impressions, everything. People will never forget how the first time they saw something made them feel. It could be positive or negative, and that can automatically remove you from any dealings with them going forward.
Yep. We use our five senses when we're looking at a home. So you get us into the home with your pictures, but once we're there, we have to feel we can't be turned off by the smell of the space. So making sure that the space is properly cleaned. We typically ask for professional cleaning, but properly cleaned, smells good, looks good. And I just want to interject this too, also has a good flow. If you recognize that the furniture placement, and that was one that I would bring up, is furniture placement. If you recognize that the furniture placement doesn't allow people to flow in and out of the house, then that needs to be changed as well. One of my biggest things is storage. Okay, especially when it comes to smaller spaces. If you have those little plastic containers that holds the X, Y, and Z in your bathroom or in your bedroom or in the kitchen where people get multiple storage things in their kitchen because they lack counter space or whatever the case is, try to eliminate as much as possible what those storage pieces, because what we don't want to sell is that the house doesn't have adequate storage. When you show that little plastic container on the side, it says, I didn't have room for my toiletries, so I had to buy this. So at least for picture purposes, remove those things from your listings prior to taking pictures. Anything else? And any questions in general about staging? All right, let's move on. So as I mentioned before, I personally do occupied home staging, which consists of, the owner's stuff, or some of the owner's stuff. Typically, we ask that the owner remove as much as possible, except for maybe some big pieces. If they have really nice furniture, then you can leave their furniture and add pillows and throws and all these other things just to accent the space. But for the most part, you're using their major things, their tables, their this, their that, and then you're adding on to it. So it's a lot of removing and a little bit of adding. So with that, this pricing is general, but it does fall within the scope of work that I do as well. But I usually do a walk and talk consultation. So I walk and talk with the either the seller or the person who hired me, the agent, and I let them know like what should be removed. But then I also provide them a report detailing the things that they need to work on. I want to show you the report, but I just don't know how to share it. But I provide a report of everything that we talked about. It's usually takes about 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours for me to deliver that report because it's very detailed. It's every little thing. It's like, please remove the bear that's sitting on the left side of the room. But very detailed, and it allows the seller a place to start. So when they're like, okay, I don't know exactly what I need to do, but this checklist allows them to say, okay, I know I need to clear all this out. I know this TV can't be in here for pictures. I know this can't be here, that can't be there. So it really is a good tool to help clients stay on track with what they need to do. And then also for the agents to know exactly what it is that they need to come in with or hire, continue to hire for the actual staging to happen. So that's 200, it starts at 250, and that's all depending on square footage and the amount of rooms that need to be discussed and noted. The occupied staging session starts at around $1,000. And that would be someone like me coming in and bringing in some additional, maybe furniture and like small accent or accents. It may not be small, it could be a big piece of artwork or whatever the case is, but some accents that will help illuminate what's already existing in the home. And there may be some add-on accessory rentals if you need like a bed or whatever, and we need to rent it or whatever, and there may be some add-ons that come as part of the package too. Those are additional and optional. And then also considering extension fees, as I mentioned before, the market doesn't move as fast as it used to. So your home may be sitting a little bit longer. And if that's the case, there would be additional costs for the materials that remain in the home over time. Any questions? Any questions? All right. I also wanted to provide a little information about what certain things can do, like the return on investment on certain additions to the home. So when it comes to, Carrie had mentioned before, interior and exterior painting, it could cost between $1,000 to $4,000 depending on the home, but the return on investment is 80 to 110%. There's just something about a fresh coat of paint in a space that really allows buyers to feel comfortable and confident in that home. There could be a whole bunch of other things happening in that home. The furnace could be out the door, but because they walk in and it looks fresh and it looks clean, it really does change things and can add so much and have such an impact on the sale itself. Landscaping and curb appeal, that is 100 to 200% return on investment. So that can cost anywhere between like $500 for something basic to $15,000 for like a complete haul of your landscaping. Joanna?
And thank you for mentioning that. I think, sometimes as agents, we might be dealing with sellers who are very finicky, penny pinching, don't want to spend the $300 to $400 on landscaping. I fit the bill sometimes in those cases because I understand the value that curb appeal brings and the difference that it makes to a buyer when they're walking up to a property. Sometimes I won't even mention it to the seller. I'm like, all right, I'll take care of it, because at the end of the day, it's your brand as well. And if landscaping is going to be the difference of whether your listing moves between 1 to 2 days versus 30 to 60 days, it's 100% worth it. And again, thinking about, you know, the return on investment, you're going to get paid, you get paid quicker, you're going to get your commission, and you're going to sell for higher. So what's for, you know, what's $300 to $400 to be able to, you know, take care of the landscaping if you're going to get the return on investment and protect the integrity of the home and your brand as well.
Exactly. That's a great point. The other things that you could do, front door replacement or upgrades, 90 to 140% of return on investment. And that cost could be anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000, 2,500. And it depends on what you need. If you need a full new door, whatever the case is, but updating certain things allows people to feel welcomed. And that's the point. We want to get them in the door. That's the step number one. Get them in the door and let the rest of the home speak for itself. So making these upgrades are important. This one, light fixtures and hardware updates. That's probably the cheapest thing that you can do in the home that has a return on investment of 70 to 100 to 100%, where you're changing. I've gone to so many homes, and I'm not talking about boob lights. Nobody really loves a boob light, but you know, if it's functional, if it looks decent, you know, leaving that is one thing. But I've been to many houses where maybe the boob part of it came off and it's just lights. Making that quick and easy change is going to be it's going to have monumental impact for something so small. Once again, deep cleaning and decluttering. I always chime on professional cleaning. I've seen it so many times where clients are like, oh, I'll take care of it. We'll clean this weekend before the pictures, or we'll clean before the open house. And it's not, everybody's definition of clean is not the same. So it's definitely, and for that one, it's a 400% return on investment for something that costs 300 to 1,500. Is Daisha on the line? Can someone let me know if she's on the line?
Yeah.
You're here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and that aspect of when listing your home, the cleaning, and because I know you had a listing.
Yes.
So,
So my Brockton listing, it wasn't the cleanest. I'll just put it like that. The owner has small dogs who are not always using their puppy pads, so it didn't smell the greatest, it didn't present the greatest. You gave me a recommendation for a cleaner who was amazing. I really think they spent all day at the home, but like I went in, everything was just so bright and fresh. The smell was gone. And it just really, it evolved the space, although it didn't necessarily help it sell, it didn't hurt it.
right.
Because it definitely felt like a whole new house after, you know, they came in and cleaned it. It was like night and day, literally.
Yeah. And again, it's not just one fix that's going to change everything. It's usually a combination of things, including the house itself. Sometimes certain homes have a harder time selling, whether it's number of bedrooms, whether it's the way that the floor plan of the home, whatever the case is. There's so many different factors that come into it, but these things are very important. Carrie?
Deja touched on something so important that I don't want us to skip over. Pets. When it comes to listings, if I know a client has pets, I ask them to remove all evidence of having a pet. I recognized the importance of that when I was representing buyers who had severe allergies to pets and wouldn't even go inside the home, or automatically assumed if there's pets, there's going to be a stench or a smell. It becomes mental. And so if you have a pet, I always say, put away all the stuff related to a pet because you don't want that to deter people from buying it because they have bias towards pets in a home. So
Yeah.
that's actually a big one.
Yeah. That is a big one. So making sure that all these things are cleared up and removed. The other thing is, and I just want, I'm kind of going off the top of my head of experiences that I've had with as a stager or even as an agent, is like sharing with your clients that the goal is for them to leave the home. A lot of times we come into homes and people don't really want to move things. They don't want to do this or that. But eventually, when you get an accepted offer, you have to pack up and go. So, really encouraging people when it comes to the decluttering process to start moving, actually, start moving. If you're selling in the winter, you don't need your summer clothes. If you're selling in the summer, you don't need your winter clothes, God willing. So making sure that they are, so having those conversations, these are some of the conversations that I get to have too. So I like working with agents because it gives like a united front. So you have now two professionals saying the same thing. And even if I'm saying more as it pertains to the actual design of the space, you have two people that are in agreement. So you have the one person that has shown you that, I can sell this home. And then the other person saying to them, hey, they can sell this home, but we need to do this. So coming in, I love coming in at listing appointments if that's what you're doing, or whenever you're doing your walkthroughs, after your walkthroughs, coming in at a separate time, doing my own walkthrough. And like I said, that I feel like the punch list that I give those sellers is so helpful to the process of getting things prepared for listing. So I think it's definitely a value add for both parties. And then the buyers reap the benefit of seeing something beautiful and something worth their money. That's all I have. Let me see. That's all I have right now. So
Perfect.
yep.
I
Thank you.
think what I took from this entire training, one, I don't want to be the other pitcher. I don't want to be the other pitcher. I don't want to be the last pitcher. I don't want to be the last agent. I don't. That's number one. I took from this whole training is I don't want an agent looking at my photos like, oh, these are horrible. I know why you didn't sell. The bed's not even made in his photos. The laundry is filled. It's the counter. Oh my God, the countertop has everything on there. I saw homework from last year on the counter. You know, the fridge magnets everywhere. Jesus. I can't stop looking at the fridge because it's so cluttered. So I just don't want to be the last photo. I don't want to be the last photo. Now, a lot of agents, and I heard this in this office as well, where they said, well, my last listing sold and I took pictures with my phone. And we're talking about your last listing, right? But what about that seller that was shopping for a new agent and they looked at your last listing and said, "No, I'm not going that. I'm not doing that. I want someone more professional and take their business a little bit more serious." So you don't get that call. You don't get that call because your last listing is now on your resume. It's a resume. And it's easy to understand what you're doing and how hard you work because all we have to do now is go on social media. It's not like we got to say, hey, can you give me a resume? I'm just gonna go on your social media. What are you talking about? If you're not talking about real estate, you're not going to sell my house because you're not even talking about real estate now. So now you have my listing. You're not going to talk about real estate. You're not going to show my listing because I don't see it now. And if you do, I don't like how you represent your listings now. So I'm not going to give you my listing. So I don't want to be the last photo. I don't want to be the last photo. And then clutter. That's when you talked about clutter and at the open house, making sure everyone could feel comfortable walking through the space. That was key as well. That was key as well. And the next thing I definitely want to say, people are selfish, very, very selfish. And what I mean by that is this: you could have a seller purchasing and selling at the same time, and they are more strict when they buying than selling, right? Like they would say, "Oh, I want this, 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 this. Oh, they could have cleaned up. Oh, it should have been organized. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that oh, wait a minute, you're not doing any of that at your listing. You're like, yeah, they're gonna like it. I'm gonna just sell it as is. But now when you purchasing, everything has to be perfect. But when you're selling, you don't want to do any work, right? And that's just a mindset that we have to shift for our clients because sometimes they again they're moving forward with emotions and not logic. So you have to kind of shift that mindset so they can understand. Look, you're gonna lose money on this end, but you're trying to negotiate on another end. When if you do it that way, it's gonna wipe each other out because you're gonna lose money on your listing, but you're trying to get a deal on purchasing. So I just wanted to share that, but you did a phenomenal job. Um, Yeah, why are people taking pictures of toilet seat? I don't know. I don't mean, and yeah, and it's up like, hey, I want to show you. I don't know how much water it holds. Like, I don't. It doesn't to me. It doesn't make sense. And it's important because we have a checklist. Comfort has a checklist. Before you take photos, this is what you do. All you had to do is follow the checklist, and you won't have photos with clutter on the counter on a fridge and toilet seats up, beds not made, all type of stuff happening. So, but Tanya, you all set?
I am.
Okay.
I don't know. Am I not sharing anymore? I don't know.
No, you still sharing? That's
I don't know how to not
you good.
Okay.
Any questions before we go?
Oh.
Now we all know Tina's shy, nervous. Drop a 7 for Taina. This is her first time doing this, representing herself, getting out of her way, putting her company in the limelight, really going hard for her business and her family to show us all what she loves to do. We could tell she was nervous, but I guarantee you, when you see Taina again, the second, the third, the fourth time she present, it's going to be a new person because as we started this conversation of being uncomfortable so you could get ahead. So drop a 7 for Taina. You did a phenomenal job. We heard your passion and we could tell this is what you do and this is your space. Niche down and keep going. If this is really what you want to do, just keep going because a lot of listings need your service. Staging with their own furniture is much cheaper than hiring an entire staging company. And you could also talk about numbers, how much more money they will make with their own furniture. So just keep going, keep growing. Kerry?
Yeah, I just want to echo that, Tahina. I was really excited to join this call today when I knew you were going to be on there because the information that you're providing is so imperative, especially if you want to be a listing agent. But my biggest takeaway, my gem drop from some of the things that you've said is, listen, the end goal is to sell your home. That's the end goal. And if that means decluttering, if that means allowing people to see themselves in your home, if that means they need to be able to walk through the space and let it flow, if that means you have to remove your personal emotions, detach from the home, because you're going to be leaving the home. So there shouldn't be any resistance to remove personal items because the end goal is to sell. And that's going to be my takeaway. What is the end goal and how do we get there? So thank you so much for all of your insight. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. You're welcome.
Boom, boom. All right, all right. We woke up today. I don't know why. It's up to you to figure that out. Until then, enjoy your weekend. See ya.